the big question of today is the NFL colluding against Lamar Jackson? It's a very hot topic going on right now, as you can see on the screen right now for NBC Sports. There's an article that, of course, I have out here for Lamar Jackson for his, I was discussing the collusion. And that's what the title of this video would be called. If this one, we're going to be jumping back and forth about the whole Lamar Jackson saga. I know this is probably the most videos I've made so far of a single player is Lamar Jackson. But again, this is a huge topic. I'm sure in the future I will be making more, just like anyone else, for the stories that are coming out. But for this one, I wanted to kind of give you all the facts and tell you the whole Lamar Jackson saga, especially the start of, you go back to the 2022 offseason till now, discussing what's going on. But to answer the quick question from my title, is the NFL colluding, or I should say the owners, are they colluding against Lamar Jackson? Absolutely they are. They are. For this one, but I don't want to make the point of the racial side of it, even though there probably could be a small part of it of being that. I will leave that up to when we see Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow get their contracts. If they get big money like that, then I think you have a good chance for the racial side of it. For this one, I want to argue point out why they're colluding. And it's for everyone, it's probably just simple. They don't want another Deshaun Watson contract happening in the NFL. Many teams, again, going back to last offseason, when Deshaun Watson was dealt to the Cleveland Browns and was given the fully max deal, which on screen right now, I'll be kind of presenting my summaries. But for this one, he was given a deal. We'll get to that just now. For a 2022 summary, both Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson tried to reach an extension. Lamar gave the Ravens the due date week 1 of the 2023 season. Couldn't get it done. Going into it, the Ravens were 7-4 when he was playing. They were in a good spot in the playoffs. He got hurt in week 13 against Denver. The team ended up finishing 10-7, went 3-3 without him. Lost in the wild card against the Bengals 24-17. Also missed 6 games prior to the 2021 season. And this is just hopping back to the Lamar Jackson, or the Deshaun Watson part. What does Lamar Jackson want? He is asking for a Deshaun Watson contract, and as you see on screen right now, Deshaun Watson received a 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed contract, which was unprecedented in the NFL. There have been other fully guaranteed contracts, such as you look in the draft, some of the top picks in the draft usually do get fully guaranteed contracts. Kirk Cousins was, I believe, the first player already in the NFL that got a big guaranteed contract. If you've seen his last ones, I think it was like a 3-year, $80+ million contract, fully guaranteed, when he went to the Minnesota Vikings. And that's kind of what slowly started this trend of trying to push for the NFLPA and for players to make a push for the fully guaranteed contract. But Deshaun Watson definitely just broke the door down when he received a 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed. What I'm projecting is what he's asking for, and I think he's gonna be asking for more than that, because for like any position, any player, they want to reset the market for each position. And I no doubt my predictions, of course, a 5-year between at the very least a $230 million to $250 million fully guaranteed contract, and I do believe that. And this is why, going back to the statement for the collusion, I absolutely do believe that there is collusion from the owners that is trying to stop Lamar Jackson. They want to put down this revolution to try and push for fully guaranteed contracts in other leagues, such as the NBA, hockey, and so forth. They want to put this down. And you see from the other positions, the market keeps going up and up and up. They keep raising the bar from the last top contract, as opposed to for the quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson has been the highest standard for the money, and ever since then, no quarterback has come close to reaching that as much. And this is where the Lamar Jackson saga really starts to kind of take fold with that. So for this, I'll leave a link down in the description for both these two articles I have here for this part for the collusion. The other one too is the report today saying that the reason why it's hurting him is him not having an agent. Of course, his mom is representing him. I don't buy that at all. It doesn't, regardless if it's an actual NFL agent or his mother. You're still going to pay. You're still going to have to pay the money. You're not saving money if you are hiring someone else. It kind of is switching into that. It's what is stopping Lamar Jackson, or what teams are starting to stop, or what is stopping teams from getting Lamar Jackson. Sorry, kind of going all over the place. And it's really just the non-exclusive. So kind of phasing into that. That was kind of a quick thing too with the agent. I mean, I put that on there. It's no. I don't think it's a factor whatsoever. I do think some agents are upset that if they can get this deal done with his mom, that is going to start, I think, hurting them to a point, because then team or players are going to kind of switch to their family members where they don't have to give up a cut to the agent, and it is going to save them money for that part. So I do think if it does get done with his mom being the agent, that it is going to put some kind of knock on using agents as much if you can get a deal done with your family member. But I don't think it's a main factor for this one. So the main factor, no doubt. Again, I'll leave this up. I'll put this one in a link below, and also ask again for the whole Lamar Jackson thing for the agent, and also is he missing out for the season? I don't believe so. I think he will play for the season. But getting back to this, the biggest thing that really stopped teams was the non-exclusive tag. So of course, before the deadline, you have three tags. If people don't know out there, there's three tags: exclusive, non-exclusive, and transition. The Baltimore Ravens use the non-exclusive tag on Lamar Jackson. Kind of give you a brief summary. It's not the official definition, but just to kind of simplify it. A player, and during the non-exclusive, a player can go out and negotiate with another team, and they can reach an agreement with this. But if the original team can match the offer, being the Baltimore Ravens can match the offer with said team, the team that Lamar Jackson picks, let's say the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's say he goes to the Vegas Raiders. He gets a contract done. Let's say 5 years, $230 million. Say he gets a Deshaun Watson contract. If the Baltimore Ravens can match that, the Raiders must have to give up 2 first-round picks in order to get Lamar Jackson, and that's the biggest thing that's, I think, really stopping this from multiple teams pursuing him, is giving up on top of the big huge contract that's going to shatter the NFL even more from the Deshaun Watson part. Teams don't want to give up 2 additional first-round picks to get him, but at the same time too, you are getting a MVP caliber quarterback. You are getting one of the top quarterbacks in the league, as opposed to, we have question marks in the draft. People are high on Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, CJ Stroud. But are those guys going to be Lamar Jackson? Lamar Jackson is already proven. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the league. He has won an MVP. He has played in certain points at the highest level with little to no talent around him. But the one thing that's really stopping it is the non-exclusive tag. As soon as it was announced, all teams withdrew their names from getting Lamar Jackson. I said no team wants to acquire Lamar Jackson due to the high money, big contract being whatever he is asking for, but at the very least, Deshaun Watson money, and 2 additional picks, being a 2023 and 2024 first-round picks. And again, not having an agent, I don't think it's a big problem either. Again, I think they're just kind of just throwing it out there to, just put something on them, really. But if you look at some of the teams I do have on this list, this is my updated list. Go follow me at Sports Brewers. I constantly post, retweet, and so forth with many stories. It's mostly NFL. I try to add in a couple more other sports, but for this one, I put my update on my predictions for Lamar Jackson. I still have the Falcons at number 1, even though the Falcons pulled their name out of the bidding for Lamar Jackson. I still think they're number 1. I still believe that they will get him. I think ultimately he will end up there. I'll get that, of course, I'll get to that part of it later, or in a few minutes. Number 2 are the Jets. Even though there are reports today saying that they feel like it's almost a done deal that they will get Aaron Rodgers. They're kind of just figuring out what they have to give up for a trade. It says the Packers are trying to get a first-round pick out of Aaron Rodgers. I do not see that. I agree with what they said: age, contract, and uncertainty. Future uncertainty, and also just the lack of teams that he wants to go to. I believe at the very worst, or the very best, it's going to be maybe 2 second-round picks, but I think it'll just be a second-round pick for Aaron Rodgers, but they could get 2 as well. And that's why I put this yesterday before this news came out. I put the Jets number 2 because of the chance that it might fall through with the whole Aaron Rodgers saga the last few seasons, with him saying he wants to leave, and then ultimately he stays. The next year he says the same thing, and he stays. And I thought there's a chance that this might be another year of that, even though there's many reports saying that the Packers want to move on and go with Jordan Love as their quarterback. But I did put the Jets at number 2. Number 3, I have the Washington Commanders. Again, have the assets, have the weapons around them, have a good defense. In the NFC, that's lacking in elite quarterbacks. There's no question if Lamar lands in the NFC, he's no doubt the number 1 quarterback in that conference. You can maybe go back and forth between him and Jalen Hurts, but I think a lot of people would agree that Lamar Jackson would be number 1 in the NFC. Number 4 is Ravens. Of course, the team he's with already. This is presuming that for this year he won't be able to get moved because of just the high resources needed. Of course, the big money, the big fully guaranteed money, and additional to 2 first-round picks. So that's why I put Ravens still in the middle. I guess you might be able, you could flip, Baltimore up to 2 or 3, but I still want to put them as one of the higher end teams to keep them. Number 5 is the Panthers. Again, even though they do have, I don't know if they'd be willing to give up their high first round pick for this year. It's kind of going back to what I just said a minute ago of, yes, you do have these top young guys coming out, Anthony Richardson, and some of these teams might still be an opportunity to trade up. Falcons or the Panthers still have the chance to move up to first overall if they want it and take the quarterback that they ultimately decide on. But again, are you going to guarantee me these guys are going to be as good or if not better than Lamar Jackson? He is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think the big knock on him too is his injury, which I do not agree on, because I guess strangely enough, people were concerned with his, him running a lot, him being hurt from that, but his 2 injuries have come from the pocket. I think the offense he was horrible around Greg Roman. I understand that he did win an MVP in 2019 because of him, but it's because teams, just like any scheme, any team that really jumps out quickly for a style, teams don't know how to stop it. But once they get film on it and they have an off season to figure it out, as you saw after that, they have not been as dominant since his MVP year, and of course record wise and stats and so forth. The whole offense was built on Lamar Jackson carrying the team. He did not have a legitimate number 1 receiver, besides, if you want to say, Mark Andrews. Outside of Mark Andrews, he's not had a great wide receiver. The very best that he's had is Marquise Brown, that ended up deciding to leave this offseason via trade to the Arizona Cardinals for a first-round pick. And besides that, there's nothing else. I mean, you do have running backs. You have J.K. Dobbins, who is a nice back, and so forth. And for their depth, but the problem is too very injury prone, especially J.K. Dobbins is trying to be their main running back, their main guy back there. But again, the last 2 seasons he's been injured. I wouldn't be surprised if they win the draft and try and get one. And just I have kind of like a mini mock draft of the Ravens, what I decided to go with, and ultimately the team that I believe he will get traded to, as I kind of just mentioned already, for my number 1 spot. And I put 2 wildcard teams down. Teams that I don't think people are talking about as much. Well, one of them is, of course, with Miami. But the problem is going to be the first-round picks, because if they do that, they'd be in the Rams situation where they won't have a first-round pick for a while. So I'm going to start with the second one, Dolphins. If you just sort of looking at the talent that they would have on the team now, granted the team won't last long because of the cap and also with draft picks, they would, after a year or 2, they probably have to break the team down. But that'd be a scary offense to go against with Lamar Jackson, with the Mike McDaniels offensive mind, with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and whatever pieces they can put around him. Mike Gesicki, I believe they will let him walk. Raheem Mostert is not a guarantee. I'm not sure if Jeff Wilson Jr. is still under contract, but your main focus is the good offensive line and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I think those pieces right there is already a deadly combination, no doubt, and they would be the Super Bowl favorites, or one of the Super Bowl favorites with that roster. Number one I have for the wild card is the Patriots. Funny enough, I did see an article talking about that, saying that they will not pursue Lamar, but I wouldn't put it past them because there's so many reports coming out there from the Patriots or rumors of the coaching staff being told not to be harsh on Mac Jones, and just all these different things of always trying to put Mac Jones down, saying, "Oh, we're not confident in him. We don't see a big gap between him and Bailey Zappi." It just doesn't sound like they really love, especially Belichick, that he really loves Lamar or Mac Jones. It doesn't feel like he does. I feel like he just, it's a swing and a miss. And ultimately, I do think if they were in a right situation, they were given the right offer, they would move on from Mac Jones if they really wanted to. And I do believe that, if you want to say if they did move on from Mac Jones, whatever capital they got or the capital they have right now, I would not put it past them that they would offer 2 first-round picks to get Lamar Jackson. I know it goes against their philosophy, especially with paying big-time money for Lamar Jackson. But again, this would put Bill Belichick back on that trajectory of going, competing for Super Bowls again, because he'll already have one of the top quarterbacks in the league again. Not saying he's Tom Brady, but he will already have an established quarterback. They would have to try and figure out the pieces around him, of course. But I think ultimately with that would put the Patriots back on the map as a legitimate playoff team and a legitimate playoff threat when they arrive there, and also give them a chance to win the division, where the Bills have won it the last 3 seasons. Last time being 2019, where the Patriots did win the AFC East, but ultimately got knocked out of the wild card by Tennessee. So I wouldn't put it past the Patriots to take them. I didn't put the Raiders on here, even though Raiders were a big one, because it just looks like that Jimmy Garoppolo might go there. And also, I saw another report saying that for Aaron Rodgers, at least, why he wouldn't go there. They said the owner, Mark Davis, would not want to. They don't think that he would be willing to offer the big money for Aaron Rodgers. So if he's not willing to give the money to Aaron Rodgers, he's probably not going to give the money to Lamar Jackson. So that's my list for my 7 teams I really have. I guess I could have put this at 7 and 8, but I wanted to put for wild card teams that could be they could potentially make a run for them. And then kind of switching over to the other part with the knock on the playoff success. I know he hasn't had great playoff success, only having 1 win in the postseason. Ultimately, the biggest knock on him is the 2019 season, going back to his MVP year, where they were 14-2. They were the number 1 seed. And it was a one and done. They got knocked down by Tennessee Titans in a huge upset. But if you look at the highest win percentage, this is on NFL and CBS, but they tweeted out highest win percentage over the last 5 seasons, minimum of 40 starts. Of course, Patrick Mahomes is number 1 at .797. Coming at number 2 is Lamar Jackson, 738. Josh Allen at number 3, 684, and number 4 Tom Brady being at 671. Ultimately, not surprising, the second and third one, both coming out in the 2018 draft. Both quarterbacks were considered to be busts. But look at this, the last 5 starts. Now I get the postseason failure for it. You look at from Mahomes, 3 Super Bowls appearances, 2 Super Bowl wins, 5 straight AFC championships. Josh Allen has been to an AFC championship game, has more playoff wins than Lamar. Josh having 4, and of course we all know with Tom Brady, the success he's had. So I get the knock on that. The postseason success has not been there, but Lamar Jackson still puts you in position for that. He still does. So if you look at this, all right, Mahomes won 79%, if you want to say 79% of his games. Lamar won 73%. That's still really good. At the end of the day, you still have to make the playoffs. You have to qualify. You have to have a great record. And Lamar Jackson has shown that he puts his team. Look at this. That he is getting these. He has a .738 win percentage without having great talent around him. When the offense asks for him to be Superman and have to carry the team week after week on his own, that's his win percentage with a team that lacks offensive pieces. Imagine if he went to an Atlanta Falcons, if he went to the New York Jets, if he went to the Miami Dolphins, what his win percentage would be and the success you would have with legitimate pieces around him. If he had Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, if he had Drake London and Kyle Pitts, if he had Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and Curtis Samuel, and so forth. I mean, Patriots, I can't really put. I mean, I do think that he would still succeed there, but they kind of lack the offensive pieces on that side. But just look at what he's doing without the great pieces he has. I know the other knock too, going back to what I said, was the injury. I know it is concerning that the last 2 seasons he has missed 6+ games in the last 2 seasons. But again, these aren't running injuries. These were just standing in the pocket, freak accidents, someone landing on his foot. It's not his fault. It's not what people expected him to be of, oh, he got hurt because he was running around like RG3 or someone like that. It's not the case. You are getting an elite quarterback, regardless, with the money and so forth. And people, I know it's a lot to give them. I know it's a lot, but you know that you are getting an elite quarterback in return of what Lamar Jackson's doing. And this is where my end result is going to be. Lamar Jackson will get traded, whether it's this year or next year, where if he does play the franchise tag this year, it's most likely that they might franchise tag him again in 2024, and we're going to go through this whole story again. But I do believe he will ultimately get traded. I know, big shocker, big prediction by me. And the team I have is the Atlanta Falcons. The Baltimore Ravens will receive a 2023 and 2024 first-round picks, and Falcons will receive Lamar Jackson in return. And I predict that his contract would be a 5-year, $240 million, fully guaranteed. With that, again, I do believe it's the best spot with the lack of the division. Of course, he goes there, he would have to face Derek Carr, but overall, again, the conference is weaker as opposed to the AFC that he's been in his whole career. Not saying that he automatically makes them a Super Bowl caliber team, but he definitely kind of pole vaults them into one of the better teams in the NFC. And for this one, I kind of played around with a mock draft of how things were falling. Now, I'm not saying that this is for sure. This is on Pro Football Focus, their draft simulator. And ultimately, Lamar Jackson, I did have, of course, getting, thumb trading the 8th overall pick in their 2024 first round pick. And with the 8th overall pick, they would take their next franchise guy in Will Levis, starting over, especially with their new offensive coordinator. Again, this is assuming that if he does get traded this year, this is my draft board for them. And with that, they would go with Zay Flowers to get another great receiver on there to kind of rebuild that whole offense. Then you have Travis Hodges-Tomlinson, kind of help with the cornerback, especially with Marcus Peters getting up there in age. Adding depth at the running back position, Dwayne McBride, and adding on the depth on the edge for them, and then kind of adding another wide receiver at the end. But most importantly, I do believe that if they did get a high pick this year, that they would ultimately try and go and get another franchise guy in the draft. This one, I do have Will Levis as that guy, and they would start over with a new offense, new quarterback, and new era. And for the Falcons, I do believe that there will be success there. Now, of course, there'll be questions just like Deshaun Watson, these other top guys, where down the line it is going to cost them a good amount of money for to kind of keep the team together, because soon you'd have to have Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and so forth with their contracts as well. So I don't know how that would play out in the future, overall and long term, with just like any of these other top quarterbacks. But that's my end result. There is that I do believe he will get traded to the Atlanta Falcons, and the saga will be over, and then we'll see what happens with what Baltimore does with obviously their future, and what Lamar Jackson does with Atlanta or whoever he gets traded to. But once again, he has success. I know the big knock on him, once again, is the playoffs. I understand that. But he is elite. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and there's no doubt in my mind, once again, that the NFL is colluding against him to make sure that he is not getting the contract. But ultimately, I think in the very near future, quarterbacks are going to get this money. They are going to get it. There's no question that they can't stop it. As soon as Deshaun Watson signed that contract, it's You know, it's just a timer. You just eventually it's going to happen. The quarterback's going to get the big money. We will see with Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert what they do, because this offseason they were presuming, or I should say assuming that they will get their big contract extensions. The Bengals have said that they will work with Burrow this offseason, and also with Herbert. Assume with that too that they will reach a contract extension this offseason. So it'll be interesting to see where this could go, because this could also help Lamar Jackson as well, potentially, especially if you look at Herbert not having less success overall than Lamar Jackson. If he gets a big time money, this could force teams to pay even more than what I said. Instead of the $250 million, that this could catapult him into much more money, and of course set other quarterbacks up in the future to receive this. So I think this is going to be in the short term, I think it's going to be a success by the owners, of course, being maybe like this year and potentially next year, to stopping Lamar Jackson from getting his big money. But I think ultimately it's going to head in that direction of whether it's Lamar or whoever receiving that big time contract, the big fully guaranteed contract. It's going to happen. I don't think the owners can stop it. It's going to happen. It's going to get to a point where a lot of quarterbacks are going to be asking for that, and it's going to get to a point where you can't collude all of them. You can collude maybe, a few, but if a lot of them are asking for that money, you can't keep stopping them. At some point, it's going to happen. I don't agree with it. I know people are upset. I don't agree with the whole Deshaun Watson contract, give him the fully guaranteed deal. I think it was a dumb move by them. They were a desperate team that tried to get out under Baker Mayfield, and this was their only option. If they didn't throw that guaranteed money out there, Deshaun Watson's not going to Cleveland. You didn't even hear Cleveland's name throughout the whole Deshaun Watson process, and that it was a desperate move. And once they signed that, it kind of really, took a shot at really took a shot at the NFL, especially the owners. Where now it's kind of putting the hot seat on them for their quarterbacks of potentially asking for a contract like that. But no doubt, this is going to be a marathon. Like I don't think it's gonna be a quick thing like some other players. This is gonna be another Deshaun Watson type of deal, not off the field stuff, but the whole process of getting this done. It's going to get dragged out. You're going to hear about this the whole off season, and don't be surprised you hear it through the whole regular season, regardless if he's playing or he's sitting out. This is going to be the biggest story you're going to hear for another year or so, and it's going to be annoying. Maybe like the Deshaun Watson's stories when they constantly kept coming out, but it's gonna be headline news. It's going to be every single week. There's going to be a story about it. So again, that's kind of my quick thoughts on that. I apologize if I went off, topic here and there, if I was kind of bouncing back and forth too much. It's just a lot to really discuss, a lot to go off of and kind of talk about. But if you did make it to the end, I appreciate you guys listening to me. With all that, let me know down below your thoughts on the whole Lamar Jackson situation. If you do think he will get moved this offseason, if he does, where, or if not, let me know what you think this decision will be, if he'll play under the tag or if he'll sit out. But besides that, thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around for this long video. Please subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.